So I think the first question that I have for you is you shared one of those wins a few days ago where you said that you saw a weight on the scale that you hadn't seen in like 10 years, I think it was, give or take.
Hmm.
And I personally don't know how that feels. And I was very curious about your experience of how it felt when you saw that.
How did that feel? Like successful, exciting. I felt like myself again. And to give a quick history, so like I've always been really fit and active and having a goal. Um, but over the past I think the last time I was this weight, I had been on this mission to, well, that was when I was training for to stand on a stage and say, please judge my body. But I got really low. And then, as I've told you before, I had a coach that was helping me um, drop down, but he didn't help me come back up safely. So
Mhm.
there was no, I'd never heard reverse diet until maybe a couple years ago. And I didn't really understand what it was. And then here I really get it. So I just sort of went back up, I don't know, gradually or quickly. But then it just sort of, I don't know. I went in the past couple of years, I've gone up and down. But I think I sort of decided or accepted that maybe I wouldn't be able to get there again, and I don't know why. So I before I met you and Dragana, I felt good in my body. I was capable. I was active. I was doing all these things, um, and I liked my body. But when I started researching longevity and menopause was when I went, oh, I'm committed to lifting weights for the rest of my life because I want to be strong. And so where I would normally lift weights a little bit, um, I that's not my favorite thing. And so but that just sort of set me, it was like new motivation. And so it set me on a new path. And then I found you and Dragana. And so then I started to, because I was willing to do things differently. I
Mhm.
thought, because once I hit perimenopause last year, my weight went up. Like before that, I was like, I'm going to lift weights. And I was at 161. And I'm like, I'm going to lift weights and I'm going to get down into the 150s again. Like I was motivated. And my body said, no, we're not. We're going to gain weight. And so, and I had done what worked before. And everyone in my research has said this, like in perimenopause, what worked before doesn't really work anymore. So I was like, okay, I got to learn something. I got to do things differently. And that put me on a path of just learn what else is there? Like I know a lot, but what don't I know? And that put me on that path of learning more. And then with what you and Dragana, um, the way you spoke about things um, was like it clicked with me. And like the messaging that you were putting out there, it clicked with me. And so I like, this is it. This is what I'm missing. And so just following that was just like, okay, little by little, like the weight started coming down and down and down and down and down. And then when I fine tuned it, um, it just fell quickly. And so when I finally, to answer your question, I told you I would talk a lot. To answer your question from 400 minutes ago, um, I was like, oh, wow, like I did it. Like I'm here and I'm not stopping. Um, it just was very satisfying. Like I fit in these jeans again that part of me is like, why are you even keeping these jeans? You know, like at some point you got to get rid of, they're 10 years old, these jeans. But um, when I saw that number on the scale that I hadn't seen in a while, I was like, let me try on these jeans. And I was like, I feel amazing. Like it just feels so good. And I'm pretty sure like my body composition is different than it was the last time I was this number. So I think my body fat's even a little bit lower, but I have a little bit more muscle. So it's fun. It feels amazing. It gives me a boost to keep going. Um, Not necessarily to keep losing weight, because I'm literally 3 days away from getting out of fat loss phase, but to keep working the process, going into the next phase in the roadmap, So it was amazing and fun and motivating.
Cool.
That was a lot
That's
of answer.
Yeah, but that's pretty spot on, and I think like getting results is one of the biggest things that you can do to stay motivated and engaged in the process. And I remember like one of the first time that we chatted, um, you talked or you asked about the different phases. You were
Mhm.
like, hey, this is something that I want to learn more about. Where can I find that? And I say, or it's like lesson 3 of module 1 or whatever. And then shortly after that, you joined the Strong Babes Club Premium. And you mentioned now that you are finishing your fat loss phase and that you are soon going into that reverse, which you hadn't really
Mhm.
done before. Was that like the main learning that you had in the community, or were there other things where you that you think like this really helped me stay engaged and motivated and get after the results?
Probably both, but for all the stuff that I know, for all of the things that I've done and that have worked for me before, and the things that I've trained for, it was always one and done. Like run a marathon, okay, train for it, run it. Um, do high rocks, okay, train for it, do it. Uh, get down to be able to put on a bikini and say, please judge me. Train for it, do it. And then it was just done. And so, I mean, I love a goal. This is like my husband will tell you, I love a goal. I love that calendar where I'm like, check off the day and then it's there, you do it. But what really stood out to me, something I hadn't done before, was a the roadmap of and I'd been learning about this, the periodization of training in different seasons of your life. And that I liked that. But the verbiage that you put it in is the transformation roadmap, that I can see, oh, there's this phase for this purpose and this amount of time. And then it's not over. You go into the next phase. And then that's not over. You go into the next phase. So for me personally, this really helped my brain and coincides with my life plan. I mean, I'm 47 and I plan on living for a long time. So let's say I live till I'm 100. I want to be strong and fit and doing things all those years. Um, and just having a roadmap in my life of like what phase am I in now, it just really helps me. Like that motivates me for those 53 years I'm still going to be here. It's a lot of time. Um, so the roadmap really was like a missing piece for me, and understanding the different phases, and then gave me this idea like, oh, I can actually maintain this because I want to put on some muscle and get strong and maintain that. That's the
Mhm.
goal.
Yeah.
Um, and the interesting thing was, I think now, like I've always had this vision of what my body is like really capable of. And I think I'd kind of given up on that. And now because I'm motivated to be strong when I'm 97 and doing push-ups with my grandkids and great grandkids, I realize, oh, I'm probably actually doing this your way. It's like, oh, I'm probably actually going to look the way I always wanted to look. But that's not the sole purpose now. The purpose was be strong. Um, so I think it was just having those phases and then being in the community and getting the coaching invaluable. Like, and I have to tell you, I'm not a person that's really an online group person. I'm proud of myself every single time I post a win because I'm engaging or that I'm responding to somebody that's uncomfortable for me. That,
It's very interesting that you say that because I couldn't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself every time. It feels
Yeah.
awkward to post my wins. It feels, I like the idea of having these people all around the world, but I've just tried a couple things over the years that it just doesn't really fit for me. Like I'll make connections with people and then over time they diminish, but I'm just invested. I'm like, oh, this is like the coaching is so invaluable and then the support of these women is really great. So uh I don't know. Did that answer your question from
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, I was like I was surprised myself the turn that it took in the community because we had different programs before that, and we also had that concept of, I mean, the name of the brand is Women's Strength Society, so having that kind of community aspect is something that's been there from the beginning, but it's never been this strong. And for me, it's incredible to watch like ladies from all over the world, like in Australia and then Middle East and Europe and all over the States and Central America and Canada. And so um, bringing so much support and that kind of energy is really something that you can I think you can really feel.
yeah.
And this is something very special. So it's a bit surprising to me that you're saying like, hey, it's difficult for you to engage online because
Yeah. I'm
you're
awkward.
you're a big part of it.
Oh, thank
Like
you.
for us, when we think about the ladies in the community, are definitely like one
Oh,
of the
thank you.
leader, if I can say that. And so it's kind of fun that you're saying
Yeah.
it's
I'm an
awkward. Yeah.
in-person person.
Mhm.
I'm I I'm just I would rather be in person. Um, so
Yeah.
this online stuff is it's a choice every time that I'm on there.
But you seem to keep making that choice over and over again. So
Yeah, I think the wins, when you started asking everyone to post their wins, I that was a good because it's like a fun form of accountability. And I like that what I do now throughout the day is like I have little notes in my phone and I'm like, oh, that's a win. I want to add that later. And so then I just at when it's at the end of the day, I just copy and paste my wins from that day into the community. And so, but I'm very mental focused. Like my brain is my strongest muscle, I think,
mhm.
because it's um I learned that through boxing many years ago, that I was just able to finally tap into my mental strength and have it and realize it in the flesh. And I've never forgotten that. And it's helped me in my whole every aspect of my life. And so this idea of like looking for wins and like looking for the positive, that resonated with me. And I hope I do that for the rest of my life. And it was in that book, It Takes What It Takes. Is that one of the ones where he talks about like um I don't know if he calls them wins, but was that in that book? I think so.
Um,
Where at the end of the day you're writing those down.
I'm not sure that this is, I can't recall, to be
Yeah.
absolutely
But
honest.
there was
It could be.
I had read that and then you asked about those. You said, "Hey, everybody, let's post these wins." And um you obviously for some women it was really hard at the beginning and that it's amazing like to see that transformation with them like how they're just like here's all my wins now but at first it's like I don't know what to say so that I think that was a big that's a big draw for me is
Mm, cool.
posting mine, even though the fat loss challenge is over, like I'm still getting on there because it wasn't about that in the first place. It was just about wins and wherever you are, what phase, whatever phase you're in. So I think that's a huge value in the community.
Cool. Cool. It's good to hear. Are there any other things that, because obviously you have a lot of experience, you've been a trainer yourself for a long, long
A
time.
long time.
Yeah. You've been doing some boxing like at a professional level, if I recall correctly,
Mm-hmm.
going on bodybuilding stages. Like you do have an extensive background in
I've done a
terms
lot of
of
stuff.
training. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm also sure that you've tried other things in the past, to be in shape, to be healthy. So you've mentioned a couple of things that we do in this program. Are there other aspects of it where you're like, hey, this is pretty unique and I really enjoy that?
The Here's something that well, there's the way you're coaching and your and Dragana's ability to answer questions so thoroughly, and I can tell based in science. And you're not influencers trying to sell us something. It's really, I so very much value that you both want us all to learn skills that we can put into place. It's the skill building. You and I talked about that before. Um, in this, which is what I wanted. Like, so before I told you that coach, he helped me, he just told me what to do and I did it. Like, I'm good at, if you tell me what to do, I'm going to do it. But I didn't really learn or understand why it worked. And so now I'm like, why is this working? And what really is it so that, I mean, I hope you're stuck with me for the rest of our lives, but if we, if not, I've really learned some skills to do this for myself. And that's I think the biggest value. One of the things for me that I learned that you really simplified, and I think I'm understanding, is macros. So before finding you, I thought, okay, because I eat well. Like the foods I'm eating over and over again right now, that's how I was eating before. I just it wasn't, I mean, literally I'm eating the same food every day.
Mhm.
Um, but it wasn't that varied before. And so I thought, what is it like? Maybe it's macros I'm not understanding. And so I went on this deep dive and tried to educate myself on macros. And I found this person online and they have a thing. And I'm telling you, I was more confused. I was so confused at the end of all of this thing that I'm trying to understand the different macro ratios. There was probably 20. Like, if you want this,
Mhm.
do this. If you want this, do this. I was like broken in my macro understanding. And I I really understand now, like it's really not that hard. And I appreciate the simplicity of how you have helped me. Um, and I think that's something that has helped me. I mentioned this before. Once I started eating the same foods every single day, it was really quite easy when you said, okay, let's take the calories down a little bit. And you're just taking it from carbs and some fat. So I just went, oh, I'll just eat less potatoes.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I don't have as much fat now. So I'm not going to make these vegetables because I like them with a little olive oil. So instead, I'll just do this. I'll make my vegetables this way. And can they taste more amazing? Sure. But right now, this is fine. Um, And so now with the reverse, it's like, okay, let's get some more carbs in again. Okay, eat more potatoes. Like
Yeah.
it's that's been a huge thing. So keeping the protein the same because I've seen some crazy macro splits that I just go, well, why? I don't understand why. And I mean, at one point I was eating a ton of protein.
Mhm.
And I can say, oh, that kind of makes sense, but it wasn't doing anything. it wasn't really working for me. And what I've learned from you and Dragana is like, it really isn't that hard.
Mhm.
And so that's just so helpful. Just be simple about it. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah. I'm so glad to hear that because as we talked already about, it's like is skills that you want to learn and develop over time. And
Hmm.
uh, like when I hear you say
Fun, yeah.
that, I'm like, yeah, this is like ground zero. You know,
Hmm.
you've learned those skills. And from there, then it's super easy then to gain more flexibility back and then to have also a bit more freedom with the food choices, with the
Hmm.
quantities, because those macros are arranged like it's not set in stone. And also depending on the training you're doing, then sometimes
Hmm.
we want a bit more carbs or just a bit less. And you can play around with it because right now you have a structure that's extremely simple, but also
Hmm.
extremely clear and this is a skill. This is not something that a lot of people kind of
Definitely.
learn to do. And once you have that, then once you have seen this kind of clarity when it comes
Hmm.
to your eating, then it's much easier to then build that back up. Have a bit more flexibility and freedom. So
That's
it's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And
Checked.
yeah, this is so I have these skills for my next fat loss phase, which in my mind, I feel like I would just do one more, and then feel like, oh, nice. Like I want to maintain this, like that's good. I don't see myself doing fat loss phases for the rest of my life. But I feel like, oh, I learned a lot that it will be easy for me to just get in and get out quick next time. Um, and now I'm going to learn, and this is again the thing for me, it helps this. I'm going to be in a reverse diet phase. Let me learn from this one. And going back up, I feel like that's going to be relatively easy because we're literally just reversing. And then the maintenance. Oh, what can I learn from this? Because I feel like that's going to be a whole new set of skills. And I'm not nervous about that. Like, I just know I'm going to ask questions, you're going to answer them, I'm going to get some good feedback, I'm going to learn from the community. But that's exciting to me and motivating, but it doesn't feel scary. Like, um, yeah, there's going to be some new skills to put in place there, and that feels good. Like, I'm excited to learn in each phase. And I'm training for the high rocks now, so there may be like in the next 6, 7 weeks. I like that I can say, "Hey, I'm feeling this. What do you think?" And you'll help me adjust either way. And then after that, I don't know what I'll do. I think I just want to put on some good juicy muscle, and then um, look banging in summer. And again, it's not about the look, but kind of nice. Like I'm not going to turn it down, but the goal is to be strong. But that's what's exciting. It's like, oh, in this other, I'm motivated to be strong and um, fit and do things. And I'm actually probably going to look the way I always thought I could in my mind.
Uh-huh. That look like you live thing, right?
Yes, because
Mm.
I just always look like I'm a person who takes care of herself. Um, yeah, but when the disconnect before was like I'd see a photo of myself and I go, really? That's what I look like? Because I feel really strong and fit, and I'm that's not what I see. That picture is not what I'm feeling. So
Mhm.
what's the disconnect? How do we do this? Um, and partly I just sort of resigned myself to like, okay, my body doesn't want to do that, but um, sure it does. Just you have to find a new way. So I'm actually, although perimenopause was like it's not fun, but gaining weight and going up, it was like this new motivation. It's motivated me um, to do things differently. So I'm actually grateful for it.
Hmm.
And it's perfectly normal in a woman's life. But I know that like this midlife, what women do now in this transition of our bodies sets us up for our health, our longevity, and that's what I'm focused on.
Hmm.
And I just want to make it look good along the way. Anyway.
You are indeed successful with that so far. So it's nice to be a part of that journey. I just wanted to go back to something that you said.
Mhm.
You said that you were not scared or it wasn't scary. Is that something that you felt before, like
Yeah.
in regards to nutrition or health and that, fitness topic?
Um, for years, people, okay, I used to work out at Gold's Gym, Venice, like the mecca of bodybuilding when I'm from California. I used to work out there, and all the time people would say, um, I would get, oh, are you in your off season? Like they thought I was a competitor. And so the layers of fat on me, they assumed was because I'm in my off season. And I said, no, I'm not. I don't compete. I like to work out. And they said, oh, you should. Like I have a nice, I have like the perfect body, like perfect canvas to do something like that. And I tell myself that like you have like a great canvas for this. You can shape whatever you want. And um, but I never wanted to do that because I saw what they would do. I would saw that they would like get really lean and then they would go back up. And that didn't feel good to me. And I was scared that if I did that, that I wasn't mentally capable of being okay going back up.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Like I knew you can't be, it's not sustainable. The I had 8% body fat and still getting my cycle, still healthy, but 8% for a woman, that's low.
That's very low.
um, that's low.
Yeah.
And I that's not sustainable. And I knew that. But I didn't want to do that. I thought, oh, when I gain 5 pounds, I'll think I'm fat. I didn't want to do that to myself mentally.
Hmm.
And at that point, I finally was like, okay, I'm like, I'll do this. Like, I'm ready. I can do it. I'll be fine. And then it turned out I wasn't fine because I didn't have the help going back up.
Uh-huh.
That was missing. Like, thanks, coach, for getting me down, but he didn't. He thought I knew what I was doing. I did not know what I was doing. So I'm not saying I ballooned, but mentally it didn't do well for me. So um, the fear now, I'm just like, oh, I've done this so well and I know what I've done. And you're saying, here's how to come out of it. And we do need to come out of it. And I think so many women are just constantly in a fat loss phase without realizing it. And I'm excited. What's weird is like I'm fine. I'm not, I mean, I literally love my food. It's so good. I'm happy, but I'm eating 1,000 calories less than what my maintenance is going to be. Probably. I don't know. We were whatever. Somewhere around there. I those calories are going to feel so good. Like I tell myself like that. I feel good now, but this is under calories. I can feel better. So I'm actually excited little by little. I'm curious next week when we add, what is it, 150 calories or whatever it is. When I have a little bit more carbs, my body, I wonder, is my body going to go, yes? Or is it going to be like, just have that energy, like what are my workouts going to be like? So I don't have the fear of adding those back. I actually have excitement and curiosity. Um, and then like on High Rocks Day, am I just going to feel like a beast because I'm going to have all those calories back? Like I get excited. I don't have the fear anymore, because I have the coaching and because I trust the coaching. You two
Mhm.
clearly know what you're doing. You're constantly researching. The way you answer a question is like, I knew that immediately. I will tell you this. Like the way you both answer questions, I was like, oh, I know what they know what they're doing. This is rooted in science, not the latest powder or rep range. Like these people are educated, so I can trust that. And I felt really confident about your coaching from the start.
Cool.
So yeah,
That's
no
very
fear,
nice to
just
hear. Yeah,
excitement.
that's very nice to hear. Now, when you do drop the calories and when you reach such a low body fat, then it's going to have like an impact on your psychology and how you think. And I one of the things that I thought was very nice about your transformation with us so far was to see how you manage that, and like handle the lower calories at the end of the fat loss phase to drive progress further, but still like showing up very determined, positive attitude, sharing the win still, despite feeling a bit awkward when you do that. So like props to you. This is something that's not easy, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the reverse dieting and more
Yeah,
calories
me too.
because I think it's only going to be beneficial,
Yeah.
positive.
You had so a couple things. I've not been perfect, and I want anybody who's watching this, like it wasn't that I've been within the 5 grams, like of the macros. Um, the automating my food, so key. That was like, but what I've told other people is like, I wasn't ready for that at the beginning. I've
Mhm.
seen Dragana say that. I've seen you say that. Like, but the sooner I think somebody can get to that point in a fat loss phase, the better, because it'll just be faster. Like we extended mine by 6 weeks, but had I started that before, um, then we probably wouldn't have had to. But we're ready for things when we're ready for them. So I
Mhm.
don't begrudge any part of my fat loss phase because I was learning so many things throughout that. Um, my thing when I go for a walk, my long walks to get these 15,000 steps, which are a chore, a choice every day right now, um, is keep listening, keep learning something. I would listen to a podcast of yours. And so like I keep it in my mind what my goal is and why I'm here and why I'm doing this. Otherwise, just stop. So like I want to keep the process going. And so that was when I finally got to there, that was very helpful.
Mhm.
But I'm not perfect with it, but it's so much easier to be closer to perfect when the meals are the same. I'm not
Mhm.
having to think about what I'm going to eat every day. I know what I'm going to eat and I know I like it. I picked meals that I truly enjoy. So if I'm picking meals, um, I'd probably be further along if I really loved fish. I don't really love fish, um, but it's really lean. So I like I. But if I was trying to make myself eat fish every day, it would be a mental struggle.
Mhm.
So the fact that I enjoy my food, very important. Um, but I've not been perfect with it. So I just like chocolate chips. I love dark chocolate chips. They're my little treat. So I'm having those on occasion. Um, but I wanted to say this because it's important to say, yes, I'm seeing success, but you don't have to be perfect with it. Just be really consistent with find what works and then just be consistent with that. And there was something else I was going to say, but I forget.
That
I'm
was
long-winded.
that was a very good message. And I'd like to hear if you know, maybe you don't, but if you know like what made it click in your mind, where you went like, oh,
I know
this
exactly.
Okay.
I know exactly. I was on a walk and I was listening to and I mentioned this in one of my posts. It was about the rate of loss. And you were talking about a I don't remember which podcast it was. I wish I could reference it, but you were talking about a coach that works with rate of loss for his bodybuilding um, people and really focusing on that. And it occurred to me in that moment, I've never really understood rate of loss because, of course, I want to see it go down like every week. Who doesn't want to see the scale just go 1 pound, 2 pound, three? Of course, we want that. How am I supposed to manipulate that and like make that happen? Because I'm a human
Mm,
being and weight fluctuates and blah, blah, blah. And so then I went, well, if they're talking about it, there's got to be a way. So um, I just started doing more research. Like I know the things that cause the scale to go up and down, but I
mm,
decided to look at it again and what is the list of things that can cause the scale to go up and down? Because a month ago, and I think this was just a month ago, my pattern on my spreadsheet thing, not spreadsheet, but the scale thing was like up and down a lot and not dropping. It was just,
mm,
and I thought, okay, that's how can I limit that? How can I lessen that? Where even if it just stays the same, just slow the roller coaster down. And so I looked at all of the things that can cause the scale to go up and down, and I went, okay, which are the ones that I can control? And so I can control how I cook all my food. So I control how much salt's in it.
mm,
Okay, so I'm going to take out the sodium aspect. I, so I just went through, oh, hydration. I love water. That's mostly what I drink throughout the day. But what if I automate that? So I have a pitcher a really big pitcher on my desk over there, and then I have a water bottle, and I've calculated how much my body needs. And so I make sure it's one of those pitchers and one of those water bottles at least in a day. If it's hot or if I'm sweating more, I'm going to get more naturally. But I told myself I'm not going to get less than that. So I'm automating my hydration. So, okay, if there's different, oh, carbs, where if I wanted bread before, like if I make ciabatta or something, I still need to get you that recipe. I haven't forgotten. Um, I could fit that in my macros, but I thought, is there a difference in how the body operates with and not operates? It affect the scale whether I eat some bread versus potatoes? Okay, well, let me just take that out and eat only potatoes as my carb. Not only potatoes, but like, because I'll have like my smoothie and there's a banana in it, and I have oats in the morning. So then I thought, let me just automate, go back to what Dragana says, just eat the same foods every day. Okay, so I'm taking that element out. So it was really just going through all of those things that could possibly make the scale go up or down and control the ones I can control.
mm.
And in that week, that first week was the week that
It
that
dropped
I'm
now.
just eating the same stuff every day. It was like jumping off a cliff.
Yeah.
It was like boom. Every day it just went down, down, down. And what that showed me was my body wanted to be there and really was. I had just been causing it, like maybe there was sodium or maybe I was dehydrated or those things. So that was like, whoa, what an eye opener.
Hmm.
And fortunately, again, I love the foods I was eating, so I'll just keep eating it. And that's what's helped. Um, and oh, one of the things is like the premenstrual cycle. So that was also affecting. But I'm coming up on that now. Well, I should be. I'm in perimenopause, so we'll see what my body wants to do. But it's been almost a month. So I'm curious to see what happens. Does it since I can take out all the other things, how
Hmm.
much does that really affect the scale for me? Because I can't control that. I can just watch it happen. So that'll be interesting. So if I'm on time, it should happen in the next week or so. But if my body decides to skip it, whatever.
We'll
So
see.
that was the turning point, was really understanding. again, being curious and wanting to learn the next thing. And it was the rate of loss
Mhm.
that clicked for me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool to hear. So I just want to give a bit more feedback, context about that.
Hmm.
The person that you mentioned, the coach, his name's Cliff Wilson, and
Hmm.
he's one of the most successful bodybuilding coach in the industry right
Yeah.
now. His athlete has gained like so many pro cards, like turned pro, and he's extremely good at getting his athletes very, very, very conditioned. So they're really ripped. You only see muscles when they go on stage. And what he was talking in his book was about choosing rate of loss, and that this is one of the most important factors for a successful bodybuilding competition because you have to factor in like how slow and how fast you are going to lift
Hmm.
that weight if you want to have a certain look on D-Day because like
Hmm.
that's the goal of bodybuilding. And he said, interestingly, that so he talks about that in his book for like 3, 4 pages. And interestingly, he got feedback from quite a lot of people who are like, hey, why do you talk so much about that aspect that's so irrelevant? And he was like, there are so many people who don't go on stage looking their best because of that.
Hmm.
And this goes back to what we were talking about before, like about the phases. If you know beforehand, like how much you want to lose and how long of a period of time you allocate to have that, then it's also going to help drive, adherence and compliance to the plan,
Hmm.
to be more
Hmm.
engaged and motivated by the process. And I mean, this is exactly what happened with you. You were like, it's nice, I'm making progress, but I also know the phase is coming to an end
Hmm.
eventually, pretty soon.
Huge motivation. Yeah.
So what can I do to speed things up and to make sure that by the end of the phase, then we are really exhausting every
Yes,
possibility we have
exactly.
before going out of that phase. And this is something that we've talked a lot about because as you also said, a lot of women out there, they are in a constant fat loss phase.
Hmm.
And this is extremely tiring for their psyche, but also
Hmm.
for their bodies. And it can really have like some pretty negative consequences if you do
Yeah.
that for a long term. So
And like I said, I feel good. So if there wasn't an end date, I might keep going, but I can feel better. Like this isn't how I'm supposed to be feeling. I know there's more energy to be had. It's not, it wouldn't be good to stay here. So
yeah.
knowing there's an end date is helpful. And I really wanted to, because you've said it's for most people, it's not wise to do more than one fat loss phase in a year. Um, and I think it's probably mentally as well as physically. And so I thought, oh, I want to really do is I want to get as low as I can safely, because I'm not going to be doing this again. And if I'm going to add muscle, I want to add muscle to a leaner body, not a, I don't want to look like I'm in my off season. That's not my goal. Um, so that was definitely motivating, is like, and I appreciate you putting that in context because yes, when you stand on a stage, you've got to be ready then. You have to peak like for your triathlon or for a marathon, you have to peak on that day. And because there is an end day, like that's the day. So yeah, that was really motivating. And I thought like, how can I really finish strong and what can I do? And that's also what I have, I think, what, 3 days to go. And it would be easy to go, it's, you know, close enough. But no, what if I can get down one more number? I know it's there. Like, I know it's there. So why don't I keep going? It's one more because let's see what happens. Like, why not keep going? Good. And have you ever seen the movie Field of Dreams
No, I haven't.
with Kevin Costner? There's a phrase in it where it's go the distance and it's whispered. It's a great movie,
Uh,
baseball movie. And so I often like I'll say that to our boys when they'll like put their dish in the sink. We'll go the
Go the
distance.
distance.
Like put it in the dishwasher. Like keep going. And so I've been telling myself that now it's like 3 days, go distance. And that's just like finish strong. So having that end date, and I really want to be proud of myself. Um, I really want to be proud of myself. And I actually wrote down a list of, so I have my list of whys, but I wrote down a long list of why am I making this big push to the finish.
Hmm.
And those lists, I look at it on a regular basis to remind myself and I want to know that I did everything I could, and I
Hmm.
want to keep learning, and I want to see what's really possible, and I want to be really proud of myself. And I want to set myself up for success for the next phase. And I want to run high rocks faster. So the lighter I will be 15 to 16 pounds lighter. I mean, who knows where I end up after reverse and then maintenance for a day. But at this point, I'm 15 pounds lighter than I was when I ran high rocks. And
Yeah.
that can only help. That's going to be
I-
great.
Yeah, I think you're going to feel the difference because Hyrex is a lot
Yeah,
of running, obviously.
it's a lot of running. So 15
Yeah.
pounds lighter is going to be a big deal. So yeah, that was
Oh,
a lot
that's
of
awesome.
motivation for
You know,
strong
you
finish.
you asked like before we started to record, you asked uh candidly like why were you on the call? Because there are other ladies
Yeah.
who are successful. And
Mhm.
I think you just mentioned a few key elements that are the reason why we wanted to talk with you. And this attitude of saying like, hey, I want to make the most out of that phase, I want to commit to it and then get out of it is something that we preach because like it's important. We've seen what it can do in terms of result, but we've also seen when you don't follow that kind of structure, what it can do. And we've had like a few clients that were so insistent on going on another fat loss phase within 1 year, a bit too soon. And we told them like, hey, we think it's too soon. We think you're not really ready for it mentally, but also physically. And then they still wanted to do a fat loss phase and it never ended well. It never ended
Mm,
well. And it's a lesson that some people really take a long, 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 long time to learn and sometimes never learn.
mhm,
And with you, it was very, very obvious that it was the stuff you're going through and learning and that it really made a change in what you were applying and doing. And I think this is like for me personally, and I think Dragana would say the same, like it was probably one of the main reason why we wanted to capture that. So thank you for talking about it and saying
yeah.
that again. Like, yeah.
And I really value your coaching and knowledge in this. So you've said it, I've been a trainer for a long time, but I've always known there are people that have specialties. This clearly was not mine. I have specialties in other things. I'm really good at helping somebody make some lifestyle changes that are sustainable for them. And they're not trying to look ripped or run high rocks or a marathon. They just want to be strong and feel good in their bodies. And I'm really good at helping them make those choices and that are sustainable and they're thrilled. And that's one of my specialties. When I wanted to stand on a stage, I'm like, well, that's not one of my specialties. So let me go to somebody who knows what they're doing with this. And so I have no problem saying, I don't know this. Like, help me with this. And at this, so I really value the coaching that you give. I will tell you now that my ego will, like, I've thought okay, I'll do this. And after High Rocks, I will want to talk to you again about like, okay, what should I do? What should this maintenance phase look like? And I'm curious to see what my body looks like at that point and how strong I feel. And then my ego is like, what if we do like a 6 week get in and get out fat loss phase right before summer when I'm in a bikini again?
Uh-huh.
Um, but I will ask you and Dragana, what do you think? Because I don't want to be somebody that's like insistent and you're going, I don't think it's a good idea, and then it backfires. So um, I don't feel any fear about coming out of this one, and I'm excited. And I also trust that I'm going to get good guidance from you when um, I might want to do that.
Mhm.
And remind me I said this.
I will, I promise.
If you're saying, if you say, I don't think it's a good idea, and I'm like, but you should just show me this video. Um, because either way, like I'm going to feel good, I'm going to be looking good. Like, just be okay with that. If you're saying, I don't think the 6 weeks is a good idea. And I just throw 6 weeks out there because I think I don't have 15 to lose.
Mhm.
And I won't then. And maybe it's 5 or something just to shed a layer. And I know exactly what I would do. Like eat the same meals, control the rate of loss, like do what works and use the tools that I just learned and built and get in, get out. But if you say it's not a good idea, then I will trust you. So I just wanted to say that for
Yeah,
the
we will
record,
see.
Meagan.
We will see at that point, where you're at, how you're feeling and everything. So
But
I
that's
cannot,
then, that's like six,
yeah.
7, 8 months away. Like it's not, it's just something like, because I like this idea of a roadmap. So I think, oh, this is the phase. And then I'm a planner, as you can tell if you've learned anything about me, it's that I think ahead and there's a plan. And so I like that idea. Like, oh, what does maintenance phase look like? And then what would I do after that? That helps me have stay motivated. So,
Yeah.
but that's
We
one that it's
will,
like, oh, we have to see when we get there.
we have like 100%. We have to see when we get there.
Yeah.
It's too early to tell. Um, but about the roadmap, the cool thing about it also, and that's why we like to use it, is because now you have it and you have the data, so you know how
Love
you
data.
react to, yeah, I know that. You also know like how you react to certain macros, to certain calories, to certain amount of steps,
Hmm.
and then the next time you go into a fat loss phase for whatever reason, then you also know where you can start because you're like, okay, I did that. This is
Hmm.
where things started to really shift, and I'm going to go right there
Right there. Yeah.
to
The
move things forward.
I love data, but I'm not a spreadsheet person. My sexy husband in there, he loves spreadsheets. He makes them for everything. And they're great. But for me, I'm like a pen and paper person. But that's the other thing about this roadmap. I'm like, ooh, this is great for exactly that reason, because I can go back and I'm trying to be good about typing in notes like this was happening this week. We did this because of this, because it will be great to be able to go back and see exactly what I did. So that if somebody's watching this and not using that, even if you're not a spreadsheet person like I am, not, try to see it like try to use it and it's going to be a help. It's just another great tool that you offer. You guys are awesome. You and
Thank you.
Dragana are just so great. I'm grateful to have found you. So
Thanks a lot.
you're helping me
We
be
are
my best.
we are very happy to help you along the way on your journey, and you've done a great job of applying the stuff that we teach. So it's an honor to help you achieve those goals. It's very nice, very fun. I have one very last question for you.
Okay.
If someone were on the fence about joining the Strong Babes Club, what would you tell them?
Mm. I mean, just do it. Let me be more profound and eloquent. Um, okay. I've been a trainer for 29 years. I know what I'm doing, but so I can sort through the fluff and I know when somebody knows what they're talking about. And I know when they're trying to sell me something. And I know when it's just dumb or not sustainable. Um, and I also know when it's genuine and it's backed by science and it is simplified. And that's what you and Dragana are doing. It's simplified, it's good information, you're supportive, your coaching is spot on. The systems that you've put in place um, are just really helpful, like the new template for asking a question. That's very efficient because you're going to ask, where are we? Like, how's your sleep? How's this? Like, let's just save time. Fill this out, ask the question, and you'll be able to give us an answer faster. It's the value is incredible, and you're going to learn so much. You're going to learn so much at your pace. And there's a lot of information and it can be overwhelming at first. But if you just think of where am I at right now? What do I need? What am I ready for? You're going to find it there. And then when you learn that skill, there's another one. And when you learn that skill, there's another one. And the women on here in the community are just lovely and so supportive. And oh, here's another thing. Okay. So I'm not a spreadsheet person and I love the roadmap. I'm not really an online person and I keep showing up. And the GIFs or GIFs, however you say that, I'll call them GIFs right now. I've never been a person that sends those, and now I find them so entertaining.
They are.
Just like in the community, eh, like at first I was like, oh, do I really have to? And now I'm like, ooh, which one is going to say, like, show this best? So I find that these elements, like that I'm really not, that aren't really who I am, I've really sort of embraced. Um, so all that to say, uh, if you're on the fence and you're curious, just try it. Obviously, you don't have to do this for the rest of your life. You're not signing your life away. Um, but it's very different than what is out there in the realm. And I don't see you two as like just influencers. You're educators and you're supporters and you're coaches. And that's really what people need.
Cool. That's perfect. Sorry, it was Dragana who was
Is
checking
it?
in
Well, I
what
was
was going
wondering, am
on.
I going to see
Yeah.
her? You were
I
either
don't
looking
know.
at a clock to see if how long I talk, or you were looking at her. So, Hydrogun.
Yeah, she went out again, but I
Okay.
think it's the sign that we are at the end of our session.
Okay.
Um, but thanks a lot. It was very nice talking to you again.
Thank you.
And I'm sure it's going to be super helpful for the other ladies out there that are going to listen to that.
I
And
hope so.
there are a lot of great takeaways. And there's one thing that I noticed, I'll say that last, is it's one thing to hear some information and guidelines from the coaches, but it's something else to hear that from the other ladies that are going through the same process.
Mhm.
And I really noticed that some of the things that you say in the community, even though it might be exactly the same as what we say in the workbooks or in the modules, it just like resonate differently with the
Yeah.
other ladies. And I'm sure that they are going to learn a lot from our chat today. So thanks a lot for taking the time
Yeah.
and
My pleasure.
bring up.
And yeah, that's true. And that's why I keep learning because it's like I can read a book that I read 10 years ago and look at the things I underlined then and what stood out to me. And now something else stands out. And that's how I see it. It's like you can read all that information, and in the moment when you're first there, you're getting what you need to get out of it. But then later, maybe somebody says something that they read in there that stood out that hadn't clicked with them yet. And now it does. So that's the one of the nice things about the community. Like different people are going through different phases and different things are clicking for them at a different time. And so you just hear it. You might read it or see it or hear it. And when we're ready for it, it clicks. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm not saying anything. I might not be saying anything new. Like with eating the same meals, it's like you've all been, it's in the thing, it's in the workbook, you've said it. But I put it into practice because I was ready for it then. And
Yeah.
then so somebody else can hear that.
Yeah,
But it's not
because
new.
they see you like they see you winning. It's like it's not only like, oh, it's the information in the workbook, it's also like,
Like
hey,
it
Megan is
works.
using that. Her weight is dropping in a fat loss phase. That's the goal of the
Yeah.
phase. It should be working. So let's try it
Yeah.
out.
And
Yeah.
I will tell you, and I know we need to go, my measurements finally dropped. So
Mhm.
I know it's fat, not muscle, because I'm am getting stronger. I'm still strong. I'm not losing strength in the gym, and that was something that I learned from you also. But once I started eating the same meals and the scale dropped, my measurements did also. And I'm
Mhm.
really curious. And my progress photos, you've seen, I've posted them, like they're not different. Like I
Yeah.
look like the same person. Like, how do you lose 10 pounds and not look different? I think there's probably going to be something a little more visible this time because my measurements went down. And
Mhm.
that really only happened in the last month, um, which is why the jeans finally fit. So I want to say that too. Like it's not just about the scale. Like I know it's actual fat. And so that's nice. But once I just controlled the controllables and got that rate of loss down, then it like everything shifted. So
I think those
do
are
it,
very good
ladies.
closing words.
Thank you for everything, and I'm excited about the next phase.
Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to see that and to help you also crush the high rocks training. All right,
Thank you.
then thank you and have a great day and talk to you then online in the
Yes.
community. Thanks for
Okay.
showing up despite
Yeah.
like the awkwardness and bye
Bye.
bye.